Welcome viewers, this is Media Track episode 30 and with me today is another media friend and he is a senior journalist at The Goan, Ashley Rosario. I must apologize for these changes, but Frederick Norona is out of station for a while and Ashley has very graciously consented to come in and analyze whatever news has been happening in the past week. So, Ashley, I thought we could begin with the budget, the Goa budget that was presented just on Thursday this week. And I was wondering, I was looking at all the headlines and the way the newspapers covered them, and in your newspaper, The Goan, the headline said it's a down-to-earth budget. And then I come to the Herald, which took a slightly sort of critical view of it, and it said that the budget's camouflaging rising debt. The CM presents revenue surplus budget. Then I go, of course, to the Times of India, which said that Sawant eyes taxes to shore up revenue, and said that direction shifts from urban development to rural welfare. And the Navin Times took a very conservative view and it just talked of revenue surplus budget for Goa. So what would you, since you are so much in the news circuit, what would you pick as the main highlights of the Goa budget, this 2020 budget?
First of all, I'll explain why different newspapers have been giving different headlines to the same news story.
Okay.
It's basically because budget is such a wide exercise that a single paper cannot cover the entire exercise.
Yes.
So each paper chooses a certain section of the budget exercise to highlight.
Okay.
So obviously the headline doesn't tell you the whole story, it just tells you what is the angle of the story.
Okay.
But all the other aspects are involved, are included in the stories, only the headline is different in all the papers.
Okay.
Like for example, The Goan, we sought to emphasize on what new things that Dr. Pramod Sawant is proposing to do in this thing, and we thought that they were very simple things that touch the common man. Therefore, we said it is a down to earth budget.
Okay. So I'll just point out the few highlights in your paper.
Yeah.
You talked of excise duty, license fee on alcohol, and then once again I come to Times of India. They specified that doles to continue draining out the public exchequer. And then you had Navin Times, they talked of the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industries upset over the higher excise duty on liquor. And then there was another pre-budget story which pointed out that in Goa, there is one vehicle for every person these days. So we are now at 14.5 lakh vehicles in the state of Goa, which is really, a huge burden, I would think, on both the roads, the environment, and so on. But to come back to the budget, how important is a budget, do you think, and what exactly? Because as a as a journalist, of course, I had to cover it, and I'm not a financial. I was never a financial reporter, but I'd say as a citizen, for me, the most important thing in the budget was, what are the prices of essential commodities that are going up? And of course, when we were in college, everyone was concerned about is cigarette prices going up? Is the price of fuel going up? That is also a concern for every common. So what do you think are the real issues in this budget?
First of all, the budget is not a document, or it's not a law. It's not that the government has to follow the budget to the T.
Yeah.
It's for example, if the government wants to actually implement 100% a proposal of the budget, they have to enact a supporting law separately.
Okay. Yeah.
So the budget itself does not give the government the power to spend the money that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is basically more an academic document, which gives the government a guideline that this is how to maintain the expenditure and the revenue. discipline.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a guideline. It's
Yeah.
not a law where if you violate that you will be pulled up at the
Yeah.
end of the year.
Yeah.
First. Second is the taxes that he has increased are the excise duties on alcohol.
Yeah.
Uh, that is the only area where the state government has powers to
Yeah.
increase or reduce.
Yeah.
With the center taking over the GST,
Yeah.
the sales tax,
Okay.
the state government has absolutely no say of which taxes it is going to increase and
Yeah.
which taxes it is going
Yeah.
to reduce. The
Yeah.
only place where the state government has powers is the excise duty and the VAT on petroleum products.
Okay.
Fortunately, this time the petroleum products he has not touched, although couple of months back he had increased it by 2% by a notification.
Okay.
So he needs money. I mean, the state is a deficit state.
Right.
They may claim, in the document that it is a 300 odd crore surplus budget. That is all juggling with figures.
Yes, and I was reading the pre-budget papers, that were reported.
The economic survey. You're
Yes,
talking
the
about,
economic survey, and there were some very alarming points raised. One was that the state's public debt has crossed 20,000 crore. And but in fact, one part of the economic survey claimed that the public debt was 15,000 crore, and somewhere else it claimed that it had touched 20,000 crore. Now I saw a report in the national papers on Friday, and that talked about the whole the way the public debt has really shot up is more to do with the mining shutdown. Is that a fact, or
no, I don't think that is a fact. Basically, because the royalties from mining shot up only in 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Before that, the royalties that the government got from iron ore didn't add up to much.
Okay.
Compared to the total revenues of the state.
Yeah.
So I don't think mining is a big factor.
Okay.
Maybe the ancillary economic activities of mining, yes. If you take the whole thing, yeah, little effect is there. But the mining per se, I don't think has had the impact which has raised the debt.
Okay.
Now, as far as the total debt of the state is concerned, it is a legacy issue. It is not that Pramod Sawant has created the 20,000 crore debt. It's also a debt of the erstwhile union territory.
That's
also.
right. That's
okay,
right.
there's quite a bit of a figure in that which is from the union territory days.
Okay. But there was this other thing is the House Committee on the budget. They made this statement just on the day previous.
Yeah,
they
that
said
only 31%
just
is utilized.
31% of the budget has been spent. So
It's a very subjective analysis of the whole thing.
I see.
For the simple reason that if you were present in the house when Dr. Pramod Sawant presented the budget, he himself has admitted on the floor of the house that only 28% of the total expenditure is spent on development and maintenance of the infrastructure that the government already has. The rest 72 goes in interest payments, 36 or 37% goes in salaries and that no government can avoid. No government can avoid not paying salaries to its employees, right?
Yeah.
Only 2%, like for example, what Times of India pointed out of money draining in doles.
Yeah.
Only 2% of the total expenditure goes in doles and subsidies.
Okay. Is that true? Because
that is what the budget document says.
We've been giving out so many doles and so many subsidies, so one feels that there is this enormous pressure and burden on the government.
These figures are from the budget documents. Now, if the budget documents are wrong and lying, then I cannot say anything. But from the budget documents, just 2%, 2 point something percent of the expenditure is on doles and all these subsidies and whatever.
Okay. So, actually now let's move away from the budget and come to a story that has, caused chaos in the state assembly on Thursday. And that was the arrest of the Porvorim MLA, Rohan Kaunte, who is an independent MLA. Now, Counte was elected, I would think, twice.
Twice.
Is it, from Port
Yeah,
Valley?
this is his second term.
The second term.
Yeah.
And he had been in a tie-up with the BJP
Exactly.
when Manoj Parrikar was there. He supported the government. He was a minister. He was Minister for Revenue. And he was quite prominent, I would think, quite a prominent face of that government. But when 10 Congress MLAs defected to the BJP in July, that is last year, you know, all these smaller players, the supporting players were eased out, and that included the Goa Forward Party, 3 MLAs, Rohan Counte was the fourth. And the only MLA that survived was Govind Gowde, who was also an independent MLA. So Counte was arrested in a high drama kind of move by the government. He was picked up from his house at 1 in the morning. At least that's what he told me when I spoke to him on the phone. And then he was taken, and of course he was bailed out. The sections under which he was arrested, 323 and 341, were quite minor for restraining someone or something. Now, is this, the question here is this the kind of reaction that there should have been from the government for a complaint filed by a small, you know, BJP organization, party functionary? His name is Mamre. Premanand Mamre. Yeah, he used to be a sarpanch, if I'm not mistaken, of Shoraun.
Yeah, and very active in that, in the agriculture field, in the cooperative agriculture field.
So you must have, you covered the assembly proceedings on Thursday, Ashley, so you must have seen the drama. So what was it like?
As you said, it was drama.
Okay.
I think the reaction of the opposition has been prolonged. I'm not saying that the action was wrong. Of course, they should have done what they did in the house, but I think they are elongating it too much. It is definitely a political statement by the government.
Okay.
Arrest of Rohan Counte on such a minor section of the IPC, which is a bailable offence in the first place. I think arrest of Rohan Counte when the assembly is in session, you know, it's a bit different because legislators, lawmakers do have some sort of immunity when they are discharging their duty as a legislator.
So the one question I want to ask you, I'm not quite clear on this, but I also asked quite a few legislators and all. Does the police need to take permission of the governor when the assembly is not on session to arrest an MLA?
No.
It
to prosecute.
To prosecute.
Prosecute. If they are charge sheeting,
I see.
When they are charge sheeting, after he has been charged with the FIR, and they finish the investigation and they have to file the charge sheet in the Sessions Court or whichever court they have to file it, that is the time that that they have to get the permission from the government first if he is a minister. If he is a minister, it is the government. If it is, and the government will then advise the governor whether to give the sanction or not to prosecute. And if it is an MLA, it is directly the governor.
So to come back to this case, Ashley, now what I want to ask you is, if you look at it in the wider context of what is happening in the country and how, you know, the government is sort of coming down with a heavy hand on the opposition, etc. I think this action of the Pramod Sawant government in arresting Rohan Counte at 1 a.m. in the morning has to be seen in that light, and of course in the light of, you know, the case filed, various cases. One is of course that trying to shut down any kind of dissent or discourage debate even on the anti-CA, the Citizenship Amendment Act. So there was the case of Faye D'Souza, who was shut down. She was literally uninvited to the DD Kosambi festival. Then there was also the case of, you know, the very selective sort of case filed against the Center for Social Justice, which had organized, and the Human Rights Organization, which had organized the Margaon rally. So the case was filed very selectively against these organizations for, they claim, for having children and exposing them to political ideology. No case was filed against the Vidya Prabodhini school, the RSS affiliated school, which took out a march
Yeah.
for a pro-CA rally. So looking at this action in the light of this, I think it says quite a bit about the way the government is headed. So what is your opinion?
I'm not sure if all these events are connected, but I see a pattern in this political case, in this Rohan County case. If I'm not mistaken, a day before the Rohan County episode, there was a press conference addressed by one of the Margaon spokespersons of the BJP,
that's right,
where they took on Digambar Kamath over some previous irregularities, corruption charges. They claimed that Digambar Kamath bought a mall along with his son, or his son and his cousin or something bought, and some allegations of how that mall was built on low-lying agricultural land. And when he was the CM, he allowed it, and something like that. So obviously they are targeting the opposition MLAs.
So what you're saying
so
is
a day later,
they
did the same.
Them.
Yes, maybe frame them, or maybe take up cases which exist, or these very in other words, we call them skeletons in their cupboards. They're trying to pull out skeletons in the cupboards of these opposition MLAs and kind of keep them in check. I see the pattern I see is something that was done by the late Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar in the early 2000s. If you remember, in those days, he rained terror on a number of opposition stalwarts like Narvekar and
but to make the point, a lot of those people against whom he filed cases, if you know,
were people who collaborated with him.
Movin Gudino, and you have Babush Monserrat, and you have Kavlekar. They are all part
of the BJP today.
So one must see it in that light,
Yes, definitely.
There is a kind of political arm twisting going on here.
I think it's the same pattern. Like, for example, those that Manohar Parrikar picked out to take this action were also part of were allies of his before he picked them up. Same thing here.
But
Rohan and all were allies before they picked them up.
Yes, but what I found quite interesting is the fact that Pratap Singh Rane, who is one of the most, he is the senior most MLA in the house, and he's had long years of experience as chief minister and as speaker. He actually made some of the most the most telling statements. He said that this is like, Gestapo Raj. He also said we are not living in the times of the Portuguese regime. And he called out the government's really heavy hand. Now this has also sort of given the opposition, which is reduced to such few numbers, only 5 MLAs of the Congress now. Congress has only 5 MLAs left out of 17 that it started with, and you have 3 from Goa Forward, then you have Rohan County, and you never know whether the NCP's Churchill Alamau is with the opposition or with the government.
He blows hot, blows cold.
Yes, and there is one more, I think.
There's Davlikar of the MGP.
Oh yeah, Davlikar, and there is another independent.
No, he's with the government.
He's with the government. Okay,
Prasad Gaonkar is with the government.
So the opposition has this
just
reduced
10.
number of only 10, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, given that this whole incident has brought a combined opposition together, and they have to some extent shown some kind of unity. Of course, one can read more into this and say that it's for the survival, political survival of quite a few of them, especially I would say the Goa Forward and the 2 independents who collaborated. Now, on the same note, I just want to go out of Goa to the decision taken by the centre to book both Omar Abdullah and Mehbooba, Mufti, both former chief ministers of Jammu and Kashmir, who have been in detention for 6 months. Now they have been booked under PSA, that's the Public Security Safety Act. And under this law, the government can hold them, they can be held up to 2 years without trial. Now that is an extremely serious thing.
Yeah, it's a very draconian law.
Yeah.
It's obviously from the British Empire times.
Yes.
The problem is not this law. The problem is nobody knows on what charges
They've been detained.
Omar, Abdullah and,
And
Mehbooba
yeah.
Mufti were detained for these 6 months in the
Yes,
first place.
that's right.
Obviously, prima facie, it looks like an illegal detention.
Yeah.
Shocking thing is that no court in the country has
It's
taken up this matter
the cases.
because it's a question of liberty. No,
Yes.
it's the most basic
of
right
a
in a democracy.
That's true.
So if no judge among the thousands that exist in this country has been intrigued by this
Yeah.
affair in Kashmir,
Yeah.
where top leaders who served as chief ministers for
Yeah.
terms and terms
Yeah.
are being detained without any charge for not 1 day and 2 days, for 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it reflects very badly on the judiciary.
But one of the most sort of touching analysis of the situation I read was in the national papers. It was made by Iltija Mufti, that is Mehbooba Mufti's daughter. And she wrote a small item in the papers, and she said, our lives now resemble an Orwellian dystopia. And she said it won't be fair for her to speak on behalf of 8 million Kashmiris. But since the illegal, she calls it illegal abrogation of Article 370 on August 5, 180 days later, we continue to be deprived of fundamental rights and have suffered great economic
Lot meaning such individuals, like for example even Sheila Rashid, she's very vocal on social media.
Yeah.
She's a Kashmiri herself.
Yeah.
And she makes a lot of sense in most of her posts.
Yeah.
You know, it is a fact that they're living in virtually a prison.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
is no internet. They are totally disconnected from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Families are disconnected. For instance, people who are in Kashmir, their relatives who are studying in outside states or doing business. Like we have a lot of Kashmiris doing business in Goa.
Yeah.
They just can't communicate with their families.
Yeah.
Like for now 6 months.
That's true.
I mean, it's inhuman, no?
Yeah.
It's inhuman.
Yeah. So let me come to a little lighter sort of news item that has been actually trending. It is Churchill Alamau's statement about tigers. So Churchill made this statement and he said that if a tiger kills a cow, will it be punished for eating the cow?
Yeah.
This statement of his has gone literally viral.
Yeah.
So,
But I was there. I mean, I was not inside the house, but I was listening to the to the debate and watching the video.
yeah,
I think the context in which Churchill said it
yeah,
was very correct.
Yeah.
I mean, he's being ridiculed for that
Yes,
statement
that's
because
true.
it was a bit misreported in some sections or by some agency. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
What he was not per se talking about the subject of the tiger deaths.
yes,
Okay, he was referring to the lynching by the cow, by the
people
Gorakshas.
who- yes.
He was referring to that aspect.
Yes.
So basically, what he was trying to point out is that if a human eats beef,
yeah,
he is penalized in this country.
yes. But
But
if
then
a tiger eats
It's
beef,
a cow.
he
He
gets
gets
away with
so
it.
much sympathy and
Yes.
he gets so much this thing.
Yes.
That was the point he was trying to make. So
Yes.
basically, what he was saying is he acknowledges. I think the Hindustan
He-
Times reported it perfectly.
He also made the point that are humans less important than
I'll tell you
animals?
why he
Yeah.
made that. I'll
Yeah.
tell you because I followed this tiger
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
minutely. The problem here is that
Yeah,
there was not just one kill of livestock.
Right.
There were multiple kills.
yeah,
So these tigers have been attacking this area for quite some time.
That's true.
So when the first kill happened, those people did inform the forest department, but they did not bother to do anything. See, a kill is very expensive for them.
right.
One cow or one buffalo killed is something like 70,000-80,000 rupees loss
Yeah,
to that Dangar family, which
Yeah.
is quite a big
Yes.
amount.
yes, it is.
Okay, so it was the third animal that was killed of theirs,
Okay,
and that's when they reacted and they did what they did.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so the blame does not lie only on those 5 people who have been charged with the
Okay.
offense.
Okay.
It also lies on the forest department people who are supposed to guard the sanctuary there.
okay,
Because they know that there are tigers there. It's not that they do not know. They are
That's
well
right.
documented.
yeah,
10 years ago they were not documented,
Yeah.
but today they are well documented. The
That's
tigers in Madhya are well documented. So I think the forest department is equally to be blamed for that problem.
Yeah.
And it is a man animal conflict. No, it
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah,
not
it
poaching.
is,
It is proved
absolutely.
that it is not poaching.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that context, I think Churchill did make a point. Of course, it was too serious an issue for him to make a sarcastic point. But
Anyway, so I believe he might have been a bit misunderstood, but
Yeah.
he always amuses.
yeah, he amuses everybody. Churchill.
To come to a little more serious
Yeah.
story, you know, whole Brexit thing and how it has
Yeah,
affected Goans who moved to the UK with a Portuguese passport. There was a story I saw in Navin Times, and there was an interview with Keith Vaz, and he mentioned that Goans who want to come to the UK with the Portuguese passport will have to come there till the end of the year. They will be accepted. After that, you know, the doors will be shut. And he also made the point that those who are in the UK already should apply for UK citizenship. So I think that was quite significant, but because a lot of people are still very confused about what their future in the UK will be and what their future will be with the Portuguese passport. And there is also the CA issue, you know. Will they be allowed to return to India and take up Indian citizenship?
I think that's the only problem with this whole CA and NRC as far as Goans are concerned. Those who have opted for this Portuguese nationality, I think when they want to return, many will return. Many will return because they do own property here, they have a home here. So when they retire from there, they will obviously return to Goa. When they return, whether they will be allowed to take back citizenship of India through the CA or not,
I know
it's a big grey area.
Right
it's a big
now,
grey area.
It's an area they haven't even looked at, and they haven't looked at the Goa case, which they should more seriously. And I think it's time the Goan MPs who are in Delhi should be examining the issue. And so on that note, I think Ashley, thank you very much for coming on this program.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching, viewers. Till next week, thank you and goodbye.